I'm not gonna explain what Death Battle is. It's the grandfather of all versus shows and has been around since 2010. In those 15 years, it has produced 3 live-action death battles, 3 comic book matchups, 3 Marvel characters, and only 2 DC characters. At least they have some restraint. I'm covering all 3 today, because somehow the latest live-action death battle is the only one that's actually good. All 3 were made with Ismahawk, so definitely check out their channel, link in the description. Let's begin.
Now you're playing with fucking shit. You're better off fucking shit than fucking with this fucked up shit.
The most memorable part of this entire episode is Chris Tucker's "You got knocked the fuck out, man." That alone should tell you everything.
You got knocked the fuck out, man! Give me my goddamn money!
This was a rough first attempt. Not a great showing for Death Battle, and absolutely not a great showing for Ismahawk. The matchup itself, it's shit, just total dog shit, and strangely enough, it's the opposite of my problem with Marvel and DC in general. The matchups normally would be overpowered characters that have a lot to talk about versus-wise in terms of feats and abilities, but not have the personality to match it. Sure, there are broken characters with strong characterization, but most of them aren't Zatanna, let alone Dr. Manhattan. Nightwing vs. Daredevil is strangely the opposite problem. Street-level characters with somewhat interesting personalities, but very little to do in a fight besides throw hands. Except Matt Murdock is the only one with an actual compelling story, while Dick Grayson is basically a softcore Jason Todd. The analysis is dull as hell. The only memorable moments come from Dick's segment, and it's just, "You got knocked the fuck out, man," and "fuck Batman." Apparently Dick Grayson and Matt Murdock are so uninteresting they don't deserve a serious breakdown, especially with Dick's analysis having a joke about his ass cheeks. Now for the fight. The costumes are serviceable, whatever, they're fine, but the environment? Completely random. It doesn't make sense considering both characters, and all they really do is turn off a light switch and dent a car. The actors do the best they can with the prototype edgy slop they're given. The dialogue's so try-hard it feels like a teenager wrote them, and the choreography is practically weightless. It's like they're not trying to hurt each other. Come on guys, Power Rangers sells Impact better than this. The one genuinely cool moment is Matt popping his arm back into place. It doesn't even look like it's broken, but I'll take it because it's the best thing to come out of this fight. Oh, and that ending? Yeah, it's lame as hell. Dick figuring out Matt's sound-based weaknesses makes sense, but the death? It's just a right hook! A magical one apparently, because Matt's helmet suddenly moves between shots despite the fact the right hook doesn't even look like it knocked the helmet out of his head. Either that or Dick literally took the helmet off and put it right there, living up to his name as a jackass. I mean, for crying out loud, the Red Ranger's death in Time Force was more brutal than this.
Yeah, that brother's starving.
The conclusion itself is fine and explains why Nightwing wins, but it feels hollow because the episode already gave me a mediocre fight to a matchup that I couldn't care less about. Doesn't help that the next episode was Mario vs. Sonic, an episode that feels like it was written by Matthew Patrick with angry Mario dog-walking Sonic. Nightwing vs. Daredevil is a bad episode and a bad live-action death battle. Making it worse is the fact that it's the first.
You want to see what I can get done in a whole evening?
The winner is the Winter Soldier.
Well, that's disappointing.
This episode's a step up, but improving on dogshit isn't exactly a feat worth praising. This is a Season 7 episode, and Season 7 is rough. The season had bare bones research and conclusion, character assassinations left and right, rushed animation, terrible portrayals. Literally, this season peaked at Miles vs. Static and everything else suffered. Winter Soldier vs. Red Hood still have all those problems, just hidden behind better production. The analysis is whatever. They cover ability, scaling, and surface level info, but completely ignore their story. which is insane because Bucky and Jason are defined by their trauma and identity. I practically zoned out for most of it. The best parts are the editing, Wiz's metal arm gag, and Boomstick joking about Jason dying because fans voted for it. The fight is where the episode shines in my opinion. Bucky barely talks until the end, which fits him perfectly, and Jason runs his mouth constantly, which also fits. It's basically Deadpool versus Deathstroke. One character doesn't shut the fuck up, and the other is a silent badass. The difference is Jason is played completely straight, while Wade is so much of a parody of Slade, they might as well be brothers from another mother. My only nitpick is that Bucky's actor sounds a bit high-pitched, but not a big deal, especially since his performance is still solid. Maybe Jason kicked him in the balls off screen. The costumes are great too. Jason's glowing eyes aren't something I remember, but they look badass, so they can stay. Bucky's arm is probably CGI, if so, it's excellent. The environment and lighting are strong too, plus the opening feels very Jason. Not taking credit for Bucky's kills, but still quipping about it, and still sounding threatening. This is the version of Jason I like, not pure edgy caricature. Where it falls short is the pacing. The pacing is way too fast. There's no room to breathe, no weight, no impact, no nothing. Everything moves at Jujutsu Kaisen at 2x speed. The crowbar scene especially suffers, and what makes it funny is that Nemesis Bloodreich expressed that he doesn't like the scene because of the way it portrays PTSD. To which I say, I'm honestly surprised you felt anything from this scene at all. It goes way too fast, the camera shakes constantly, the characters act like cartoon characters, the tone doesn't fit what the actors are doing, and more importantly, it all ends with Jason tripping on his own trauma just because Bucky reminded him of it. Bucky should have bashed his head in right here. Also, Jason using Venom is unintentionally hilarious. It gives the vibe of a 5-foot-tall guy trying to cosplay Bane because they hit the gym. Finally, the ending. While the death is better than Nightwing vs. Daredevil, it's still weak. Jason uses Bucky's gun, which explodes in his face. Fine. Then Bucky crunches Jason's head, which is also fine. Except it doesn't look like it. The sound design is great, but visually, it doesn't even look like Bucky is digging his fingers into Jason's head. It looks like Bucky is gently patting Jason's head so he doesn't have to listen to Mommy ASMR. Even more blatant with the close-up. They really should have done what the MCU did and have Bucky dig his fingers into Jason's helmet like what he did with Tony in Civil War. The death is also way too sudden. It doesn't linger, so it feels like Jason might get back up, especially with how it's shot at the end and the music accompanying it. I know that wasn't the intention, but optics says otherwise. But more importantly, it's just not impactful. It's like Yuha's death in 1000-Year Blood War, but at least I can assume Yuha is dead. And that's a god we're talking about. And of course, there's a conclusion. So apparently people thought Jason would have won because Death Battle conveniently didn't bring up the stats difference and only bring up things like gear, skills, and of course Jason's stealth. Especially when the comparison they make between Bucky's arm and Jason's helmet is superficial because the helmet is actually protecting Jason's head while Bucky's arm is just not protecting much of anything. As such, people assumed based on Death Battle's stats that Jason could have just stealthed Bucky and killed him with a headshot. That is despite the fact that Bucky's town level scaling are surprisingly absent from this episode. Essentially, Death Battle actually had people believe that Jason would have won despite the fact that he gets stomped pretty hard. That is fucking hilarious. Overall, it's better than the first live-action episode, but then again, how much credit do you want for clearing the lowest bar imaginable?
Oh, fuck off. Oh, wait, no, it actually is good?
Oh shit, they actually made a good one. Blade vs. Buffy is easily the best live-action death battle, but considering the competition, that's not exactly a high bar to reach. The analysis is much stronger. Eric got an amazing breakdown, even if his characters is basically cool guy in a trench coat aura farming his way through existence, which I will glaze to the end of time. Though it's kind of funny that Ghost Rider, specifically Xanatos, got weaker between episodes in the very same season. Spawn has a point. You're a bum. Buffy's analysis is also solid, and I appreciate being able to engage with the media made for teenage girls without the media being treated as inherently inferior. Girls deserve cheesy stories about high schoolers fighting vampires after all. That whole girls media is inferior mindset is precisely what I hated about Death Battle's My Little Pony episodes before Discord vs. Bill. Boomstick didn't help, as he actively makes it harder for me to give a shit about MLP when all he has to say about it is fucking ponies. I genuinely feel bad for any My Little Pony fans watching Death Battle before Discord had to come in and reset that cycle. Hey, Wiz isn't innocent either. Considering his comments on Ryuko, Lucy, and Zuko, yeah, not a good look, especially when all of them are minors. Or at least Lucy looks like it. Maybe there's an older version of Lucy out there. Thankfully, none of that garbage is in Buffy's analysis. She's treated as a legitimate badass, and badass women are always welcome in this channel. You all should know this. Also, destroying a building while having sex is wild. Imagine her future relationships. One bad night and that house is gone. As for the fight, absolute cinema. That's the best way I can describe it. The nightclub is perfect. The bathroom screams early 2000s. The opening vampire slaughter immediately shows the difference in their fighting style. Eric is smooth, efficient, effortlessly cool. Buffy is more brute force, scrappy, and physical. And as far as I'm aware, it fits for both of their portrayals. The opening sacrifice speech drags a bit, but what follows makes it worth it, so I'll give it a pass. The misunderstanding also works, as Buffy is more impulsive, prone to misunderstanding everything, and Blade is kind of a jackass by not explaining what's happening. And possibly an idiot for avoiding this entire confrontation in the first place. Blade's voice is higher than I remember, but the actor more than makes up for it with physicality. He's clearly trained with Blade's weapons, and doing that in cosplay with fake fangs deserves respect.
And I'ma ask you this one time, homie. You need that blood?
Buffy's actress is also great. She nails the expression, she nails the cheesy dialogue, and more importantly, she nails the early 2000s tone. Even if she looks more in her 20s than teen, but that's fine. Older women are superior anyways. I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up the fact that Blade feels like he dominates all fight, but it's not to the detriment of Buffy. It fits their portrayal with Blade being the dominant one, the expert fighter, and Buffy being the underdog, the one who has to fight with a brute force scrappier fighting style. It works for their portrayal. And again, it doesn't undermine Buffy. Blade is very clearly the Wesley Snipes portrayal, with the breathing gun and adamantium sword being the only one I recall from the comics. Other than that, the nightclub intro mirrors Blade 1, the costume evokes Snipes' portrayal, and the camera smile is just so on the nose. And to add on to that, Blade has a total of 4 lines, and 2 of them are just quotes from Wesley Snipes' portrayal of the character.
You out your damn mind?
Motherfucker, are you out of your damn mind?
So was some motherfucker trying to ice skate uphill.
Some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill.
It has the same energy as Miles' portrayal as just the Spider-Verse version. But it's not that big of a deal, it's just incredibly obvious and can be a little bit distracting at times, but not enough to take away from the fight. And that bit about Buffy not being undermined, yeah, her endurance is in full swing right here. Even if she took the majority of the hits, the fact she's still able to stand speaks more to her endurance than Blade's strength overall. It's also a breath of fresh air after watching Death Battle have fights where the winner just shit stomps, like there's no even a guess on who's gonna win. It's obvious the one who's stomping the entire fight is gonna win. This one doesn't do that. Buffy gets a comeback, and the fact that she gets dominated all fight doesn't take away from her endurance, and the fact that she has moments where she takes the advantage. I also really like how she said, "Oh, another sword." It's just funny. It would definitely be Buffy to say it like that. Finally, the death. The best live-action Death Battle death, no contest. Buffy's comeback works, the blood effects are excellent, and the headless body genuinely looks convincing. Though I would be remiss if I didn't bring up that this has the same energy as Scrooge McDuck vs. Shovel Knight. One character gets bodied the entire fight, then suddenly comes back with a decapitation! But it still lands. Buffy's final line is also peak early 2000s cheese, I love it. The conclusion is also solid, though I find it funny that Buffy supposedly gets the physical advantage when the first time they actually get into a physical altercation, it's Eric shoulder bumping the bitch. It's not a big deal, but I find it funny when the conclusion disagrees with what the fight has shown. Some real Boba Fett needs to be 50 meters away to survive a Predator's explosion. Just ignore the fact that he was standing in the epicenter and took it like a man. My only real issue is that, well, Blade feels awfully restricted. His best feats to my knowledge comes from his variety of weapons, and not giving him his full arsenal feels unnecessary since you're limiting the amount of feats he's able to show. If you're confused, imagine Aizen without Hado 99 Goryu Tenmetsu. Imagine Simon without Super Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann. Imagine Deku without Gear Shift. That's what this feels like to me. Though it's not that big of a deal breaker, and Death Battle has done worse in the past. T'Challa is still sitting on his throne of disappointment, realizing the MCU gave more of his abilities than Death Battle ever could. Overall, this is easily the best live-action Death Battle, bar none. And that's every live-action Death Battle ranked. Why did I do this? Simple. I generally find the concept of live-action Death Battle interesting. We've already seen that live action can bring fantasy to life, with the right actors, strong direction, and a little bit of editing magic. This video is basically my way of saying I want more of this in the future. Blade vs. Buffy proved there's real potential here, not just for comic book matchups either. Live action characters in general could absolutely work. This is honestly the kind of thing I was hoping for when they announced James vs. Jonathan. Now I'm not expecting Death Battle to suddenly switch to live action full time. This isn't a demand, it's just a suggestion. Live action gives them more variety in their arsenal. And yeah, sprite animation is fine, 2D animation can have breathtaking backgrounds, and they've got 3D and SFM too, but it never hurts to have a dagger in your arsenal even if you already have a sword. That's all for now. Hope you enjoyed the video. Check out all 3 episodes in the description and support Ismahawk and Death Battle. See you all later. And remember, I'm an otaku. I'm not your senpai.
Move, bitch, get out the way. Get out the way, bitch, get out the way.